What advice would you say to a business that may be struggling to raise capital?
First advice would be, but sit back and listen to why people have said no and see if you can understand it and what do you need to do about presenting your business or changing your business model to make it stronger. But assuming that you're confident and actually it's the lenders that you can't find to support you, it's then about looking across the market and thinking, right, where have I been looking and where do I need to go? So, for example, something I was involved in was a hospitality business coming out of COVID that had seen a real challenge in its cost base. Its revenue was pretty good because people were all going back into hospitality as you come out of COVID, but it had accumulated quite a bit of debt throughout the period. You went to the traditional banks, as we did at the time. They were happy to support, but they wanted to use a lot of the cash flow to reduce the debt in the next 2-3 years. In talking to the management team at that stage, I was kind of thinking, that's great, but we don't know if there's going to be another bout of COVID 6 months down the line, 18 months down the line, whatever. So we want to be able to use the cash. So I went out and found a debt fund, and they provided a 5-year facility at a fixed rate of interest with no amortization, slightly more expensive. But when you looked at the cash flows, the company was retaining more of its cash. So that particular debt provider, with the way that it structured its facilities, was right for that company at that point in time.
I also want to cover those that use traditional lenders and probably skeptical to look beyond for one reason or another. Talk a little bit about debt structures for businesses at different stages within their growth period and where something like that would provide advantage and some of the pros and cons.
Particularly with SPVs, you can think in the care sector, you can think in the hospitality sector where people growing like to maybe they don't want to risk the first unit, so they put the second unit in an SPV, and then they get used to using SPVs. But there comes a point where actually, if you put it all together as one group and you've got cross-collateralization across the group, then the quality and strength of the assets and the quality and strength of the cash flow can achieve more by being together, because guess what? A lender will see the diversity of protection there and think, I can probably do a little bit more against this, or I can do the same amount but a little bit cheaper, whichever way you look at it. But you will get the benefits of scale by bringing it together. And they often come together for various reasons. And it takes a little while to stand back and say, we might not be talking to the right people who are doing this by SPV all the time. Let's think about maybe some of the debt funds who traditionally start at a much higher number. And if you collectively put it all together, you might well find that you've got a facility that's better for you. And it shouldn't always be about price. People start with, can you find it cheaper? And the answer is, it's not whether you can find it cheaper, it's whether you can find a better facility with less stringent covenants, with a structure that amortizes less and leaves more cash to go to the business. Whatever it is, information requirements that are easy for the FD to produce rather than onerous. But it's the whole package of stuff you could look at rather than just the one pricing element. That's the one people generally go to, and they often forget the fees involved. So they're not even comparing like with like.
I think sometimes the challenge with that mindset is it's a quite short-term view. Therefore, what it would probably indicate or highlight is the business is probably not thinking long-term or have a clear defined strategy